Hi, my name is Ray. This winter I'll be living out of and traveling in a van that I'm building out myself so that I can ride as much snow as possible on as many mountains as possible. But before that, I need to actually build my van, and that's what I'm here to do. I've been snowboarding since I was 11 years old, and it has been and always will be one of my greatest passions. Growing up in Washington State, my parents would get me a season pass for Christmas every year and drive me up to the mountain pretty much every weekend. Thanks, Mom and Dad, love you. And when I got old enough, I started driving myself up there every weekend. When I was in high school, I started teaching snowboarding at Snoqualmie Pass, and when I got older, I decided that I wanted to move to a mountain town and be a ski bum because I figured if I didn't do it when I was young, I would never do it. I realized a long time ago that if you want something, you have to actively pursue it. Dreams don't chase themselves, and you have to really get after things that you want if you actually want them to happen. So I eventually moved to Mammoth Lakes, California for the 2016-2017 winter season. This was big for me because I had never spent this much time on snow before. I was spending 6 or 7 days a week, either working as a photographer for the mountain or riding at the resort on my days off. It got to a point where I kind of felt weird if I wasn't on snow at some point during the day. However, I eventually decided to leave because I found that I didn't really jive well with the people there. I mean, we got along and everything, but it seemed like everybody just wanted to party all the time, which is fine, but I'd like to do other stuff with my life as well. So ultimately, I decided to leave. Since I left Mammoth, I haven't been riding nearly as much, and I've also realized how important snowboarding was in the wintertime for my mental health. These past few years, I've actually struggled quite a bit with depression and just mental health in general, especially during the winter with shorter days and less sunlight. To tell you the truth, I'm sick of being sad all the time. I found over the years that I'm most happy when I'm out traveling and adventuring, and so the reason that I'm transitioning to this nomadic lifestyle is to be free and basically just to be happy. I know it might not be the most practical way to fend off depression and stuff like that, but until I figure out an alternative, this is what I'm gonna do. I've traveled all around the country, exploring nature and sleeping in cars a lot. And since I have spent a lot of time traveling on the road, I generally know what I'm looking for in a van build. I've mostly traveled in my Subaru Forester, and to be honest, I'm pretty tired of crawling back and forth in such a small, cramped space. I also want to be able to cook more to save money from eating out all the time. When I'm traveling in my Forester, I usually don't like to cook because I either have to stand outside when it's cold out, or I want privacy and I'm in a populated area like a city. I'm really excited for van life just so that I can have more space. I also have a lot of gear. I'm extremely physically active in backpacking, hiking, skating, snowboarding, longboarding, and photography, so everything that comes with all of that. Now, here's my plan, and here's how I'm going to do all this. I've taken out a loan to buy this 2019 RAM Promaster. I've spent $40,000 on the van itself, including taxes, and I've budgeted about $10,000 for the build itself. I'm going to spend the next 2 months building it out and hopefully be on the road by New Year's. After the winter, I'm planning on selling my van, so I'm going to be keeping resellability in mind during my build. After I've sold it, I'll be buying another one and building that one out too. I have a little bit of experience in construction and woodworking, but I've never done anything on this scale, so I am nervous. I want to make these videos as a guide for someone with little to no experience that wants to do the same thing. I know that a lot of this stuff can seem really daunting, but if I can figure it out, I promise you can figure it out too. I'm really excited to learn, and I can't wait to get started and make some mistakes and celebrate some victories and document the whole thing along the way. Thanks for watching and embarking with me on this journey. I really appreciate it. If you guys have anything in particular that you want to see or any burning questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my very best to answer them. In addition to posting videos here on YouTube, I will also be sharing stories on my Instagram, linked in the description, if you care to follow along there. See you soon.